And here we go, ladies and gentlemen of the interwebs. Welcome to the Beacon TVL Show, the weekly podcast from Beacon DeFi, your beacon in the world of decentralized finance. I'm your host, Professor Chris, the DeFi professor. We've got a great show lined up for you as we tackle the news of the week that's relevant to you, our dear users in the world of on-chain investing. Today on the show, we have our rotating panelist today is back home, ladies and gentlemen, within the confines of the tallest world capital of this continent, world-renowned DJ, and from the wallet phenomenon known as Talisman Wallet. We have Robert back on the panel. How are things, sir?
Good, man. Yeah, good to be back. After being in Europe for 3 months, Paris for a month, and Berlin for 2 months.
It's a long time, brother.
It's pretty crazy, honestly. It's good to be back, though, for sure. Yeah.
How is your sleep schedule doing?
It's back to normal now, actually. I feel like I never got used to the European time zone ever. You know, it's not like I had like 3 months jet lag from Mexico to Europe, but no, it feels like my body feels more normal now. You know, back.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, we're excited to have you back. I'm sure your cat is excited to have you back as well. So,
for sure.
Thanks for being here, brother. Mm-hmm. And we have our feature panelist today, only for a little bit, but very thankful that she answered my DM and was willing to come on and talk with us a little bit for multiple projects, but currently with CrossMit Wallet. Welcome, Joyce, to the show. Welcome aboard. How are you, Joyce?
Hey, everyone. Hi. Thank you for having me. I'm great. Just happy to be in the show, talking to you guys.
Awesome. Well, we have a specific reason we have Joyce here because she's been doing some really great work, putting out a lot of great research and tweets specifically. We're going to cover that in just a second, but we do have the looming shadow of today. Today is FOMC meeting day. This is probably, honestly, guys, one of the most important ones ever, if I'm being honest. We're also using YouTube's vertical resolution here in StreamYard for the first time, so it may look funny if you're on your phone. If so, just go to Twitter. It'll be fine. But it's pretty much locked in. We've definitely got a decision here for a cut, bringing federal funds rate down to about 4%. QT should be ending. No idea when QE, which is quantitative easing, is going to begin. But yeah, we'll know more shortly. So if it happens during the call here, we'll go ahead and talk about it. But I know for a lot of people, they're curious on what they think is going to happen. We've been talking about this forever. Beginning of the year, I even said 50 bips in November, not realizing there wasn't going to be a November meeting, but we're looking at a 50 basis point cut. So hopefully good for risk on assets moving forward. But let's go ahead and move on to probably the biggest boom, if you want to call it that, over the last week. X402 has been honestly it's been a pretty crazy boom, at least on the Twitter timeline. And we might be in a bubble, to be quite honest, because of how we look at crypto Twitter. But wanted to bring on Joyce specifically and I actually personally streamed on Saturday to talk about this because there was the Ping meme coin and just a bunch of other things coming forward. This post specifically it got me to want to reach out to Joyce and bring her on the show today because of how easy X402 is going to make so much of today's agentic or just regular payment rails. Now, we actually talked about X402 originally. I had to look it up on the May 7th edition of the TVL show. I don't know if you were on that show, Robert, but we were talking about Lincoln Murr, the talented dev. He built the Coinbase Smart Wallet, which is now the Base app. And he came over to work with the payments team on, reviving an HTTP code that doesn't use called HTTP code 402, which is payment required. Now, back in May, we reported that the protocol is going to allow AI agents, apps, and users to pay for services like APIs or content with just a single line of code, removing friction from the traditional payment methods that you may have with credit cards, even with Stripe and Coinbase Commerce and some of this type of stuff, which can be really, honestly, a pain in the ass, to be quite honest. And X402 supports a wide range of cases, from AI agents autonomously buying data or paying for their fees, or even GPU cycles and pay-per-use models. This can all be solved with X402. On my Saturday stream, I talked about it kind of like how Stripe disrupted Web 2, right? Where any website could come through, create a payment gateway with 7 lines of code. It was just that simple. So, Joyce, give us a little bit of background on how you kind of got into doing a lot of content here with X402 because I love this example that you have here. I'll put this in the comments for people to follow along with.
Yeah, so Crossman has been doing a lot of work with payments for a really long time, and we, have been working with Coinbase and also like Cloudflare, and they basically set up the X402 Foundation for quite some time now. Like if you look back at some of the tweets that we've put out, we've been talking about X402 since like August, and I remember, when my team members were like, oh, like, we should, start, doing some work on X402. I was like, why is this interesting? Like the premise of X402 is it came from this HTTP code X402, which is payment required. And I'm like, this code has been around for like 20 years. Like, why is it interesting now? And it's interesting now because so much of what is gonna, like, the payments that are gonna happen in crypto in the next like 5 to 10 years is not gonna come from humans. It's not gonna come from you and me. And I am now super like agent pilled, right? Like we've been working on agents for a really long time, but the real unlock was how do you actually get agents to have the same rights as humans, which is like the craziest thing to say, and also maybe a very SF thing to say. But like for the longest time, there's always been this separation between like agents and humans, and now they can actually do what humans do because of this very simple unlock, which is they can actually start paying. So we're working on agentic finance and agentic commerce, just like giving agents wallets and helping them pay with USDC to buy anything on the internet. But with X402, you're no longer bound to the website, right? Now you can pay for any service on the API, and it can be pay per use, and it's basically unlocks like transactions because now you don't need a human to go in and approve every single like API or like service you want to pay for. So that's how we got started. And then, we put out some tweets. Like my tweets obviously were not hitting when no one was talking about X402, but I continued making videos and I was just talking. Like this example that you just showed in the tweet was actually taken from a video that I made like 2 to 3 weeks ago. And when I made that video, it was actually one of my worst performing videos of all time because everyone was like, why is this important? Like, why do I want agents to run companies for me? And that I made like a 50-second video just talking about this. And I was like, well, you don't understand because like this going forward is going to be the new payment standard for like all agents. And like, I don't think you understand. And I'm going to try to show you. And everyone was like, yeah, like this is not interesting. And then obviously, it just like exploded because like Coinbase and Cloudflare really started pushing it with their foundation. And I was like, all right, this is our time because we've been talking about this for long enough. No one really cared about it, but people see the vision now. And so I'm just gonna try to like educate people as much as possible because we've done so much work around this. Like it'd be just a waste. So yeah, that's how I got started like creating X402 content in like the past week or so.
No, completely agree. And I did want to shout out to the Ping team because for some reason, however it is that meme coins and FTs become the oil to a lot of metas.
Yep.
To me, it seemed like Ping running and people trying to buy in, seeing that, oh my gosh, they actually created a meme coin with this. That really got a lot of interesting momentum from last week when frankly, Ping just exploded up to a nickel for where it's at. So, how much do you think that had a little bit to play with regards to? Because it got me wondering. Because the first thing I thought of was like, well, how can people in my community actually make money with investments off of this? And granted, it's a meme coin, but there has to be more utility to that. Are we seeing too far into it, or is it really just straight utility and infrastructure plays with this?
Yeah, it's one of these like. I think the one thing that I obviously don't like about crypto is everything is very, especially in the past year, like very meme coin driven, and Ping kind of exploded in all our faces. And I'm not gonna lie, like I want to say like half the interest probably came from like, the meme coin traders, and obviously like, like everyone's trading these coins on FOMO. But this switch that I kind of saw was that a lot of these traders actually started having genuine interest in what was going on, instead of like, for example, in the agent meta, like no one really took the time to like sit down and like actually understand like how agents are made, or like why agents are useful. And granted, there were a lot of agents that were not useful, right? It's just for entertainment purposes, and that's fine. And I don't think the ping team thought that they would explode as well, because they were just trying to make a demo of like,
Yeah.
how how x402 works. And like, and when Crossman, we have a ping repo as well. Like, we literally call it ping because we're just trying to show you how this agent gets paid every time it's pinged. And I think people, like, obviously the traders took it out of context the first time, and then after that they were like, wow, actually this is pretty interesting, because we didn't really pay attention to agents in the past agent meta, but like this one feels like it's one step to making agents more useful. So I like seeing that switch. I don't think, like, the whole trend of like meme coins leading the meta is ever gonna go away, because it's crypto and people want to speculate, and they should speculate. But at least this time I see like a lot more serious conversations, and it really helps that a lot of the people on the Coinbase team that worked on this are also very public about it, and are very public about their work, very technical people, like engineers that I really, really look up to. And so there's this whole like, oh shit, we have to start taking this seriously now kind of mindset around this whole like x402 happening.
Yeah, it kind of went from like slowly, little by little, then surely all at once. Like perfect playbook for that. Shout out to Graham specifically on this specific tweet. I'll put this in the show notes as well. But there's been multiple products that already exist as AI agents or something like that, like Santa, which is a Swarm-based product, Aura Cloud, what's some other ones that are here. Banker, of course, is in this as well as Pay AI, which is on Solana. They're already agentic flows that can easily use 402. So I think that seeing that as part of like the big indexing meta already as big players in the space also lends a lot of credibility to what you can easily do with just an AI agent and a terminal. I think it's going to be much deeper than that. I also saw that Eliza, at least from the community, also has already pulled out an MCP for this.
Yep.
So for those who are interested as builders, the tools are out there. In fact, I'll even share with you guys here at Crossmint for an agentic finance agent already. But all the tools are out there for you if you're interested. If you even just want to try it out with vibe coding, which a lot of people have already done as well over the last 4 days, just see what you can build. I love the example that you had there, Joyce, with the t-shirt company, because there's a lot of things that can be easily solved in a very similar context. So what I wanted to kind of swing around to, outside of this, and thanks to everybody who's put all this work together already in such, frankly, what seems to be a very short time period, is just this ecosystem map. And tell me a little bit, I guess, about, because we talked about Ping, but it's nowhere to be found on this, but there's tons of companies already in the ecosystem that, frankly, they've probably already been here, but now they're going to get a lot more shine into what they do. So I guess off this list right here, if you could like kind of steer us in a way on from a meta standpoint, or at least from an agentic meta standpoint, what do you think some of the biggest use cases or players in this space are going to be from this map?
Well, not trying to be biased here, but obviously Crossman is going to.
Of course.
But other than that, I am very excited for the consumer use cases. So one thing that I've heard a lot, and like, other than the market maps, I also do like deep dives. Like I try to do them every day, but obviously there's nothing to talk about. I don't really write about it. And the reason why I do these deep dives is because so much of like the whole x402 meta is still very like engineer driven. And so as you can see, like the one on the right, like infra and dev tools, is the biggest category right now, right? And that's because everyone's trying to like just cater to the devs, and they're like, well, just use me, and I mean, we're kind of guilty too. Like, we're also dev tools, right? And wallets, we are payments, and we have all these APIs, and we're also selling to developers. But something that a lot of my friends have told me is that it's very hard for them to understand this, because everything is so technical. and they don't see x402 happening in their daily lives in a way that like impacts them yet. Obviously, if you're a developer and you make agents, you would go on X4 to scan and you're like, oh, holy shit, like everyone's like all these agents are making all these transactions and I see these like volumes, right? But if you're a non-developer, there's nothing in the real world that like uses X42 that affects you yet. So I was kind of surprised to see that, you know, the consumer app side, like the box is still pretty small. Like obviously, you know, identity access is going to be still pretty small. It's going to be taken up by the big guys, by the clouds that already exist. But at least for a lot of these consumer apps that I was trying to feature, like I was trying to just show that, you know, hey, there is something practical that you can do, that you can see X42 in action. And even though the Infra and DevTools box is a lot bigger and will look very daunting, as retail and as someone who's not a developer, there is something for you to do too, and there is a place for you in the ecosystem. So I'm hoping that, you know, there are more consumer apps that come out that like kind of win this race. And obviously, you know, there is a very familiar name on the in the consumer app box, which is AIXBT, and you know, AXBT like blew up in the last like agent meta, and now, you know, it's integrating X402, I think presumably to like start paying for services, or for like other agents to start paying it to do research on them. And this is something that's very tangible that you can see in the timeline that people also understand because they saw it from the last meta. And a lot of people, well, not a lot, but like I think like 2 or 3 of my friends pinged me about this map when I put it out, and they were like, oh my gosh, like this is finally something, like finally a name that I understand and recognize, and I'm excited for that. And so I think like that will continue to like kind of explode. And for Infra and DevTools, I do think that, you know, a lot of the names that I put out here, and I try to highlight projects that are, you know, not like overly shilly with their tokens and whatever, because I don't want to be responsible for that. But a lot of the names that we see here are going to start consolidating, right, eventually, and there's going to be like 2 or 3 big players that you go to. Like we've seen that with wallets, right? We've seen that with, you know, there's all that M&A going on, and like over here we have our own like mini kind of M&A like frenzy that I foresee, and that should be good for everyone too, because now it's so new that everyone's trying to get a piece of the pie, and then you slowly start to see who the winners are. And so there will be winners of their own in each category, but I think especially so in like the Infra and DevTools category, because there's just not enough to support so many names up there. But
yeah, Robert, so you work at a wallet that specifically is exploring stuff like this, so kind of give me your thoughts on how you see, you know, a little bit of this starting to play out in terms of what other projects are really going to take advantage of X402 from your perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I do work for Talisman Wallet, and so we are making a big shift not only towards DeFi but towards DeFi AI, and so that definitely, you know, kind of falls into some of these categories here. Our on our roadmap is generally a plan to create a sort of like an agent dashboard, where agents can within certain limits and with certain permissions, you know, execute trades on your behalf, optimize your portfolio, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, these kind of standards just make a lot of sense for those kind of integrations and features, because it gives the rails for agents to act autonomously with different types of projects and to do different things. So I think this clarity now on how X402 works, you know, really kind of expands the use case beyond what people originally thought. You know, like for example, with the agent meta of a year ago, you know, people were like, they were effectively just like chatbots, right? Just shit posting on Twitter or posting random advice on Twitter. And even in DeFi AI, I mean, the concept was there, but nobody was really executing it. And so I think with this now clearly established, you know, it really opens up the possibilities for what's possible there.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm just going to take a couple of seconds to kind of talk about this because I know that Joyce has to leave in a minute, but uh, for me personally, I think where the real opportunity is, if you're a protocol, if you're a builder, is in the facilitator piece, because the way that X402 works is that you have a client, you have a server, and then you have a facilitator that handles all of that handshaking with the blockchain on the back end. Right now, it's Coinbase and a couple of others that are big facilitators. As more big facilitators come in with and offer the ability to even be kind of like what would be an observer or something like that on the intent backside, if you're familiar with how that works. I think there could be some options for people who would be willing to, become facilitators and make a piece off of all of those trades. I see that as something that could be, something that's fairly interesting if someone builds a project, something like that. Just looking at the market real quick, there's a lot of potential here. Obviously, Eigenlayer with liquid restaking, that could be huge, in selling security as a service to a bunch of different ecosystems that use X402 and agentic stuff in the background. Scale for e-commerce. Peak, that's a DPIN L1. There's a whole lot of DPIN stuff that could really be easily handled and probably more smoothly transacted with using X402 in the background. So I'm actually very excited to see, how this all comes out. And then I think, honestly, maybe the one that saves GameFi is X402, because that's probably the hardest thing right now. That's the hardest thing to solve, is how do you make it so that payments and in-app transactions are fairly painless? X402 can really help with that. I'm excited to see where that goes. So, Joyce, I know you said we only had you for about 30 minutes, so I wanted to give you a chance to talk about yourself, talk about CrossMint. How can people get involved with what you guys are doing there?
Yeah, so at CrossMint, we do have the GitHub repos. Yeah, thanks for sharing that. And in there, we show you how to give your agents wallets so they can actually start transacting with X402. And we also show you how to work with the Cloudflare agent kit. And just as a reminder, Cloudflare is one of the biggest backers of X402, and they also created and started the X402 Foundation. So there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff coming up with our work with Cloudflare and also Cloudflare's work, just with X402 itself. So I highly recommend you, if you're a dev, to check out these repos. And if you have any questions at all about how to use our APIs, how to use our SDKs, pricing, if you want to go live with us, just reach out to me on Twitter at HelloIsJoyce, and we'll be very happy to help onboard you. And there's already a few X402 apps that's kind of starting to build with us and test out our infra, and so I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah.
Awesome. And again, please follow Joyce at Henlo. It's Joyce. And if you like what you're seeing so far, please like, subscribe, follow, get notifications. This is stuff we do every week. We've been doing this show since December of 2021. Joyce, thanks for being with us today. And thanks for sharing your insights. I'm excited to have you back for another panel sometime soon.
All right. Let's see you guys. Thanks for having me. Bye.
Of course. Talk to you soon. With that said, let's talk about Total Value Locked, our free group from Beacon DeFi. Again, if you're curious about getting into the world of decentralized finance, which X402 is a big part of, and same with Robert, come and learn how to become a competent DeFi investor for free from us here. Absolutely free. School.com/beacon. Join now. Join the many, many, many people who have come here. Check out our free content. And if you're looking for more personal mentorship from me, if you're looking to, possibly learn more about how to set up your own all-weather portfolio, we have plenty of offerings for that as well. You can check that out here in our Start Here post, where you'll get a message from myself and Andrew, our CEO, and you'll find out about our different paths to get there. But outside of that, we also have our free community training every Friday. We've called Beat the Banks, 3 p.m. Eastern. Check us out on Friday for that. And school.com/beacon. So, Robert, we didn't get a chance to look at the market, so let's do that real quick.
Yeah, let's.
And the market, are we back? Is that what's going on? Are we back?
Are we back? I think we're
back.
We're
getting close.
We're dipping a bit though today, right?
Yeah, and I want to say that a lot of what's going on is I thought it was priced in, honestly. So I was kind of surprised that we were building back as big as we did, but a lot of this could be a little bit of a short squeeze, just because there are a lot of short positions that were there, and then a lot of the big crypto treasury apps over the weekend bought a lot of Bitcoin and ETH. So I mean that when I did my research stream on Monday, that was probably the biggest news. Big BTC buy, big ETH buy. It's fine. That seems to be the thing, is that people are starting to load up. A lot of entities are starting to load up what was here at this section, because maybe they thought that this was a bit of the dip, right? This was the bottom of the dip. We're retracing to where that is, and maybe that means they're just going to acquire more. With that said, a lot of people are very curious about the fact, have we possibly topped? I mean, the answer I think is no, but if you think about it and how cycle theory works, right? We're in Q4, the year after a halvening year. In general, that normally marks the cycle top based on the 4-year cycle theory. Now, I don't believe in that theory anymore. I don't know if you do, Robert, but thinking about where we're at, and on this show in October, I think it's October 30th of whenever the
29th.
last, whenever it was in 2023, where we called the beginning of the structural bull market, when Bitcoin was at 33K. We've been in this structural bull market for more than 1,000 days at this point, right? So people are obviously been calling for, are we at the top for quite some time now? The better question is, how much longer does this go? I know people are talking about that a lot. I think we continue to move well into 2026, mainly because there's too many things already set up to continue to keep it continuing. Do we get altcoin season in the same cycle rotation that we get? I don't know at this point. It's a coin flip, but I wanted to get your thoughts on it real quick, Robert, before we move forward.
Yeah, I've been, just kind of desperately waiting this out like everybody else.
Desperately seeking altcoin season.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But no, I mean, I follow all the, main voices in the space, like Rob Paul, for example, who, talks about the business cycle and how that's extending. That's going to be a 5-year cycle this time around, in terms of easing and liquidity and all that good stuff, and the natural timing of risk on, risk off, risk on. So I think that makes a lot of sense. It aligns with everything else too. I mean, when you consider the timing of like the trade war and the market structure bill, and just the general trend towards tokenization and stable coins, it would be very surprising if we were peaking now with all of that stuff being said and on the horizon. I think that, if I had to put money on it, I would say that we extend pretty far into 2026. So.
No, completely agree. And what's interesting is, I guess we're still trying to figure out what's going to bring. Sorry, I lost my window. What's going to bring retail back, right? What's going to bring crypto even more mainstream than where it is right now? And that's a segue to the next point. So Western Union, the king of global remittances. We had mentioned, or I mentioned in our newsletter to our mastermind on Monday, that they were going to start piloting stable coins for global remittances. I thought it was kind of weird that they hadn't done it up to this point, but I think from a regulation standpoint, it makes sense as to maybe why they hadn't. But the fact that they've decided, and I just realized I'm not sharing the screen, they are going to do it exclusively on Solana. That's a huge get for Solana, by the way, which we call the people's blockchain here, right? Because super fast blockchain, super cheap transactions. I mean, this is what Solana, frankly, was probably built for. Now, I'm kind of surprised that Mega ETH does, or Phantom Sonic, or even Say doesn't have a partnership like this with a global remittance partner. Maybe that's coming, because now I'm trying to figure out, if this is Western Union, where is MoneyGram? Where is Zoom? Where are these other big players in the remittance space? And all you have to do is go to your local corner store, wherever you are in the world, to look for places for money remittance, right? Walmart's made a fortune off of money remittance, frankly, with what they do with their Walmart to Walmart initiative. So I'm curious to see where this goes from here. But this is a huge get for Solana. As a wallet person, Robert, this is actually probably pretty big news for you guys too, because this is a really interesting way to on-ramp.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of branding, it would be pretty strange.
Yeah.
But yeah. But no, I mean, we recently launched Solana support. So I mean, imagine like making a payment or a transfer from Talisman wallet, a self-custody wallet like Talisman, to a Western Union account. I mean,
yeah,
that's pretty wild. So
that I mean, and you being, for those who don't know, Robert's been bankless since 2021.
Mhm.
This will bring a ton more people bankless, honestly, because frankly, if you just need to send it to, and they'll probably put blinks in here with Jupiter or with Phantom, whatever wallet you want to use, even Magic Eden maybe, or Backpack. Yeah, the moment that this happens, what did that say? USDPT. What the hell was that? Oh, now this is the news they didn't talk about. I should have looked into this a little bit deeper. I just saw this yesterday and I was like, well, hey. Actually, no, I saw it yesterday. Here we go. And they're at Money 2020 right now. Okay. Today is going to be an interesting day because, I mean, with regards to announcements, because Money 2020 is going on. That's a huge fintech event. We're probably going to hear some more partnerships and announcements from Money 2020. In fact, I need to catch up with Luke and Ken from Taoshi because they are at Money 2020. But them teaming up with Anchorage, one of the only companies in the Biden era who is a crypto platform that got a money license in all 50 states, guys. This is a very smart get from Anchorage to work with Western Union, because this is going to be the stablecoin they'll be using. Anchorage is part of the Paxos Digital Galaxy Collective, whatever it's called. And I'm guessing USDPT probably a part of that as well. So all the partners in that consortium, I think all 35 of them will be able to share revenue, which will be good. This is a very interesting move. Now that because I thought, oh, this is great. But now that I saw this part, I was like, oh, no. This is the news. This is the bigger news. So we're going to see big heavyweights in this space rolling out stable coins, most likely teaming up with big brands. Probably won't happen with all of them, but it's smart of Anchorage to do this. Very smart of them to do it. Smart of Western Union to see the forest from the trees and go with someone who they know can do business in all 50 US states. That's a very smart move on Western Union's part. And maybe I'm reading way too far into this, and it really just wasn't that complex. But no, this is a big move. This will probably help with a lot of people looking to go bankless, I think, because they're tied into a lot of neobanks and stuff like that are coming soon. I know that. So
this could be a framework for a lot of other payment services too, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And again, this tie in the rest of the picture. Solana and Base now have a two-way canonical bridge that developers on both sides can have access to liquidity back and forth. This probably is part of that. You have Coinbase with x402 Base Pay, which is also powered by x402, being available in conjunction with Shopify, which Solana Pay has been deeply integrated to for at least almost 2 years now. On-chain payments are starting to really form, and now we all have to figure out is what's MoneyGram going to do, because in my opinion, they serve a lot more of the the Middle East and Asian markets. I think, at least that's my experience. So they can figure that part out and bring it on chain. Now we've got near instant settlement, super fast speeds, and an easy way to work with censorship resistant, anti-fragile digital asset stablecoins. Let's go. Bullish
indeed.
All right. Speaking of them, Zelle. Multiple banks in the US use Zelle. You can use Zelle to send payments to other people with other banks. Now, it takes a little bit of time for you to get a Zelle payment. Uh, mm, too long, in my opinion. But their parent company, Early Warning, that's a great name for a company. They're going to have a stablecoin initiative within their framework. So much like what we just talked about, now we're seeing even more movement from some of these major brands and remittance. So soon, and it going, we talked about Swift as well, Robert. Them going with consensus with Linea and Ethereum. I mean, we're seeing a lot of on-chain infrastructure being built in front of our eyes right now, which is a huge reason to get into DeFi right now, because you want to be positioned and on your way, making profits, getting opportunities to get ahead of this before this stuff goes live and everybody has access to it, right?
Definitely.
So, this again is a piloted program, just like the Western Union one. The only difference with them is that it's exclusive to Solana, which is a huge get for them. Whereas Zelle is probably going to be probably baked into the fabric of how bank-to-bank transfers work. If there's anything new there, I don't see anything with like MasterCard or Visa or anything like that on here. So we'll keep an eye on this. This could be very interesting. But
are we approaching a world where bank transfers don't take 2 days now?
I wish it took 2 days. They're normally 3 days for me. And I talked about this before. Me sending from my bank, which is online with Discover, part of Capital One, not an ad, sending to my credit union where I have my car payment. If I send money from there to my credit union, it takes 3 days. Legit, 3 days. And it's crazy, right? It should be faster if you're doing an online to a brick and mortar, or just online, period. But on chain, DeFi, crypto, this fixes all that. Money's dirty anyway. Ugh. My first job was in a bank, and I was 15. I had my permit, and my job was to drive change and bills from one bank branch to another. It was like a 20-minute drive. And I remember just trying to sort. It was gross. Money's dirty, guys. I had no idea how dirty money was.
It is.
Metaphorically and physically.
Full of germs.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started, brother.
And it just all fiat goes to zero anyways, right?
That's true. Launder that. Anyway. Now we're getting silly. Other big news I wanted to talk about today, which I thought was pretty apropos, I think, for the conversation we had with Joyce, Robert, is Fireblocks acquired Dynamic. And for most people, they don't know what that means. But what I can tell you is this is the same level of Stripe acquiring Privy. And for some people, again, they don't know what that means. What this does is it abstracts so many layers away from the user for setting up a wallet. Because as you know, probably one complaint that a lot of users have is, well, why do I have to hold all this for self-custody, right? And that's where Privy and Dynamic have kind of changed that game in terms of onboarding users. I remember talking to Dynamic 3 years ago at ETH Denver about what they were building then. And it's just the idea that they handle all the third-party creation of wallets. So when you go to a new website, for example, Abstract is a good example, the Abstract blockchain. You go to abs.xyz, you want to go check out Pudgy Penguins or something, or play some of the games, you need an Abstract global wallet. You can either create one the old-fashioned way, but they offer a social login. Same thing with Sui and a couple of these other blockchains. You can now just create a wallet using an email account, a social media account, however you want to do it. It's made it infinitely easier for two reasons. One, it abstracts away the seed phrase so that even most of these don't even have seed phrases. They're private keys. Makes it easier for you to manage that and keep that safe and sound. And it isolates you in a way that, so if you get exploited, it doesn't affect your other funds, because all of these accounts are all just little sandboxes that hold your digital assets and crypto on the blockchain. So this has been a big year for crypto merger and acquisitions. As Joyce said, we're going to see some more M&As happening in the space. Yes, this is a huge map, but this is going to get smaller quickly within the next 6 to 12 months, because you get a lot of teams raising money. They try and make something work. It doesn't work. It gets acquired by something else. Things melt away. Things come together in new ways. Just the kind of way business works in this space. But yeah, them acquiring Dynamic is, to me, a huge thing. I know, Robert, you're a wallet guy, so I know this is not the craziest of news. I apologize. But as part of the experience, and let's talk about that for a quick second, the experience of trying to make a user experience that works in Web3 and DeFi, that makes it, frankly, stupid easy, like an easy button, right, from Staples for anyone in this space to get onboarded. These are the things we're going to need to bring the next million into DeFi and give us the chance to educate them.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, from Talisman's perspective, we are kind of one of our core principles is like really being serious about self-custody. And so, we're sticking with the standard now, which is, users store their own seed phrase and manage their own private keys. But it's entirely possible that if we, to truly expand in the market, we might have to either provide an alternate product that allows for this level of account abstraction and social login and so forth, or give the option, to our users. Because it seems like that's where things are headed. If we want to be really honest about where Web3 and crypto is heading, there is a definite ceiling, obviously, to those who can manage their own private keys. So I think we're probably pretty close to reaching that ceiling, I would say. And yeah, the way forward is going to be these new, much more user-friendly user experiences.
Yeah, I agree.
It's inevitable.
It's inevitable, right? I mean, this isn't the type of thing where AI is going to take your job or anything, but we need to make it as simple as possible. And are we in a world where suddenly we become just caretakers for AI agents that onboard and take care of payments autonomously through x402? Yeah, that's on the horizon. Is it going to happen that way? It depends on the execution of a couple of different things. But our goal is to figure out ways, for people in our community to take advantage of this stuff. And because we're in a world of self-custody here in Web3, where you own your own assets, you are your own bank, there are ways to leverage this technology for you to get a really great gain on your investment or your return on equity, whatever that is that you're looking for. But yeah,
there's certainly a lot of value to capture.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Just by being in the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to open with like BTC miners because I'm freezing right now because the high is only going to be 45 here today. And my space heater is so loud that I was like, should I buy some Bitcoin miners, some ASIC miners to keep me warm down here? I'm thinking about it.
Nice,
so I'm just like,
nice, extra use. Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly the reason why I'll buy a Bitcoin miner. We've heard the stories of people who are solo mining and get like thousands of dollars, getting in parts of different things. And this is so outside the agenda, but can I just say, Bitcoin miners have really evolved, right? This is an ASIC Bitcoin miner that it's okay. It's not a ton of terahashes. 4.8 terahashes is fine. I mean, I think it's great for most people. But look how small this thing is, man. That's crazy. If you're out there, you can leave a comment on the best Bitcoin miner that you like, that you think is great, for me to look at, because I'm in the market for a couple of these because I'm freezing right now. I'm wearing a hoodie, our Beacon zip up hoodie here, and my problem is I just need something around my arms and feet that can keep me warm. A Bitcoin miner is a great thing because it's silent and it's not loud like my space heater. So, got any options?
They should
Let
they
me
should
know.
they should market it like that. They should put Bitcoin miner slash
You know
space
they
heater.
should. They should. That's smart. I would even be happy to plug a hoodie with like an electric coil of some sort into a miner, right? Just like let that exhaust fan just power the warm suit that I've got on. Maybe I just need to
Like that Back to the Future jacket, the self-drying one.
exactly. Yeah, maybe I just need to stop being a baby about it, you know. And it's okay. It's fall, it's winter, it's going to get cold. If you don't like it, you should move somewhere else, like Puerto Rico, where I don't have to pay taxes.
Come to Mexico.
Oh yeah, I could come to Mexico.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Or I could just move to East Asia where it's never cold.
Yeah. Well, it's basically never cold here.
Really, I didn't know that.
It gets like chilly, but not cold. It gets down to like 50 degrees.
Would you
Like
be
maybe-
willing to make a wager on that?
I mean, I think really like the low of Mexico City is like 45 degrees. That's it, you know, ever.
All right.
50 maybe, yeah.
I was trying to segue into this one. That did a terrible job because of Polymarket. So this was on a podcast last week. Apparently, there is going to be a Polymarket token. After we take care of business on the US app and the US launch, there will be a focus on the token. By the way, if you want to be a part of that, if you go to polymarket.com and click on the US flag, if you want to know when they're coming home, put your phone number in. By the way, this is a sus as hell little message from them. Your data might possibly be shared with their third-party marketing partners here, guys. That's pretty much what this tells me, right?
Who asked for a phone number? That's like, it's so absurd, honestly.
Yeah, who throws a shoe, right? It's one of those things. Yeah. So once this happens, which should be soon, by the way, will it be before the end of the year? I think so. Are we going to see a Polymarket token before the end of the year? No, probably not. Because let me tell you, the level of congressional oversight that would be on Polymarket at this point, now that they're so deeply ingrained in fintech, because of the $2 billion infusion from the parent company, New York Stock Exchange, this will be a very interesting thing. Mainly because what that tells me about the New York Stock Exchange literally buying 10% of Polymarket for the data of it tells me that they feel like there is a lot of truth that comes out of people paying to predict on what's going to happen, right? And I'm just like, that is the weirdest concept to me. It's like, yeah, we want the data. And I'm like, what data from here do you find enough to be factual that you're willing to that's a whole rabbit hole. I have thoughts, but we're not going to quite go into that. But yeah, Polymarket token coming. We've been talking about this for well over a year, guys, about a Polymarket token and ways you can look for good markets to hedge your bets on, to get enough volume to qualify for what I can easily tell you there's going to be a lot of people just betting on random markets to try and build up volume to qualify for tiers. It's going to be a little gross, to be quite honest. The anti-Sybil measures are going to be, they're either going to be layer 0 levels of ouch, or they're going to be, I don't know, what's one that they just kind of turned the other cheek to Sybil. There's a bunch. It's going to be a little weird. Anyway.
Yeah.
The other big news, and this is relevant to our community specifically. Last Thursday, Clanker is joining. They've been acquired by Farcaster, which is a really great decentralized DeFi-facing version of Twitter. If you're thinking of Clanker as not Clanker, Farcaster being the Twitter of DeFi, Zora would be the Instagram, because it practically is. And these are all based around the Base blockchain. That's the other part that's very interesting, right? This is not all Solana based. This is all in the Ethereum ecosystem. Farcaster has a layer 3 called Degen chain that's built on top of Base. Literally settles to layer 2 Base, which then settles to layer 1 Ethereum. It's very interesting the way that all works. But are you familiar with Clanker, Robert?
Somewhat. It's in the Base ecosystem, right?
Yeah, it's a token deployment bot. Is basically what Clanker is.
Mm-hmm.
You can go to clanker.world. Let's go to clanker.world. And essentially, the way that you launched a coin. Yeah, you deploy a token in seconds. The way that it worked is on Farcaster, you just said, you tagged Clanker and you said, hey, launch this token with this ticker, and here's the picture for the profile picture for the coin. Hit enter, and it's in. Now, it didn't do the same amount of volume as Pump.Fun, but Pump.Fun, you actually had to go in and do that, right? Clanker, you literally just did it, and it was out there. Created a liquidity pool on Uniswap v3. Really great stuff. Clanker became pretty interesting because it used an AI agent, or an AI agent called Ethernet, talked to it to create a coin called Higher, which was the first ever AI agent created coin. And then Luminous was the second one, Lum. And that kind of started an entire wave of meme coins and stuff, and even virtual agents at this time last year. So Clanker being acquired by Farcaster has kind of had a little bit of a run it back moment for a lot of the coins that are Clanker adjacent. Clanker, Lum, Anon, all these others. Starting to see some pretty big upside right now because of this. We'll see exactly what happens here. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, we don't really shill a lot of meme coins in our community, mainly because most of the people in our group are still learning, and they don't need to be way over invested in trenching with the rest of the fantastic degenerate traders that are out there. But for those looking for asymmetric upside, if you want to look on Base, Clanker might be the way. And because it's now with Farcaster, that means it's going to be finally ingrained with the Base app from Coinbase. So honestly, for me, I'm kind of surprised that this hadn't happened already, but that's okay. There's another project from Deployer, who's a big, not DWR, but people close to Clanker, which is Banker. BankerBot works with Clanker. Banker uses it on Twitter to then create coins using Clanker. So kind of surprised that meta's kind of died off, to be quite honest. Not died off, but it's not as crazy as it was. But that doesn't mean that might not happen soon. We'll see. But yeah, your favorite Base coin could be coming from Clanker pretty soon. You were saying
and instead of trying to gamble on individual meme coins, sometimes you can just buy the platform token.
Yeah.
As a proxy.
Exactly. And not all of these are great, honestly. Most of them aren't. Most meme coins aren't. Like, it's like a 1% play, right? To even get close to a 10x on most of these. But that's why Clanker is here. My gosh, this is such a different look for Clanker. Clanker used to look like the Craigslist of token deployments. It was ugly. But that's okay, because that's what it was meant to do. It wasn't meant to be pretty. So
yeah, I wouldn't touch any meme coins unless I built my own sniper bot, basically.
Well, they've been working to combat that, honestly. They've been working pretty hard to combat that. Because that was kind of the problem, is that you could just find out where the token was being deployed and then use a bot, if you knew what you were doing, to then just go to the pool and just, snipe away. Virtuals tried to fix that. They made it so you had to lock in tokens first, and that's to a degree worked. I think they're changing a little bit more tokenomics, but frankly, all of this is what has been inspiring Zora. Zora and Base are on record for saying that a lot of what they thought is based on what's happening with virtuals and by association with Clanker. So I think all of this is a really nice experiment. It's been a nice experiment for the entire year for when Base does roll out their token, how they're going to handle themselves with regards to how it's going to be distributed, and how creators can make the most of their presence on chain through this system. But Farcaster buying Clanker, it's a big enough deal that people are wondering, they didn't already do that? that was my thing. I was like, okay, I thought that had already happened a long time ago, but clearly it hadn't. But this is good for them because this is good for Clanker. Clanker's on a monster run right now. They start, I mean, even back then, because they launched it like $1 or something like that. So they were up to like 135 a token. Doing things that AVAX lovers would love. Don't come at me, AVAX fans. I love you. Gecko Terminal. Clanker. Yeah, I mean, where That's a meaty chart, as we like to say.
Yeah, that's let's see those like little spark pumps.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like the announcement day.
Can you guess what the announcement is?
Can you figure out when they might have said they announced that they acquired Clanker? Mm-hmm. Amazing. So congrats to Clanker. Congrats to everybody there. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know what this spells for the rest of the space, right? Because, what are we specifically trying to achieve here? But it's in the fabric, so I can see it going two ways. And this is just my thought, because as you become a creator, you get a creator coin, Zora or whatever. If you don't have one, they can launch one through Clanker, have it paired in the back end somehow, and then that's your creator coin. To me, that's kind of the two parts of it. That's like, if you bring in Farcaster, because Farcaster mini apps are part of the base app. Mini apps you see in the base app are from Farcaster. Then you bring in what Clanker is going to be doing. Is it easier for them to monetize or at least create tokens on the backside with Clanker than with using it with Zora? I don't know. That part is the part that's interesting to me, because to me, I think that's going to be something they're going to have to make a choice on at some point down the road. And maybe they don't have to. Maybe they brought in Clanker for something else. We don't know what that is, but maybe Coinbase makes a big run and they're like, they have their own version of internet capital markets with big brands, and they use Clanker to generate a lot of that type of stuff. Or maybe it's a mom and pop thing, right? You have a small business, you want to use x402, here's your token, Clanker created for you. Maybe that's it.
I think in terms of branding, like the Zora stuff like fits more the creator economy brand, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And Clanker's seems more degen, right? Just like some.
You think so?
I don't know. It seems like that. No, I mean, a little bit more just highly speculative than.
Sure. But you can create. I mean, you could create workflows off of the tech behind it, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's really the other part that I think they maybe have been looking at. But we'll see. Farcaster's got a lot of things going for them, and we'll see exactly how long Farcaster can remain Farcaster. I know that sounds weird. They'll probably be Farcaster forever, but at some point, the base app with nearly 1 million people on the wait list, is there some absorption there? I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that's the show that we have for today, guys. Thanks so much for being here. Got a lot of live viewers here. Thank you guys so much. Thanks to Joyce for being here earlier, talking about x402 specifically, talking about this great ecosystem market map for x402 and what the future of x402 could definitely be. Follow her. She's got a lot of great deep dives. Yeah. Robert, anything you want to push, sir?
Just the usual. Talisman.xyz. making a big push towards DeFi and soon DeFi AI. So take a look at that. We are at We Are Talisman is our X handle. My X handle is at Omega __84 if you want to follow me. And yeah, stay tuned. We got some big news on the horizon. Yeah, we have some big partnerships coming up in the BitTensor space. So keep an eye on that there. You probably know a little bit about that, but
I don't know anything, man.
Yeah, neither do I. So I mean, yes, I do, but it's still being
I would
formulated.
think you do.
Yeah. It's still working out the details, but there'll be some announcements there soon. So keep an eye out.
Yeah, always as always. Well, happy to have you here, sir. Welcome back home. And yeah, it's been a pleasure having you here as always, as one of my favorite rotating panelists. Again, if you want to learn more about what we're doing here, guys, join our free group, Total Value Locked, school.com/beacon. Join the many who have taken the Beacon Challenge. Join the many who are our mastermind members. Again, thanks to our founding members at our mastermind, our current mastermind members, and our Beacon Challenge members for helping make do what we do possible. We love you guys, and hopefully we're out here. Then we're obviously helping you reach your financial goals. So if you want to be one of those people as well, check us out, school.com/beacon, and we'll get together. Let's talk. Let's have some conversations. Because it's hard to do this alone, guys. Honestly, a lot of people are like, I can do it myself. Just watch the videos. Not as simple as that anymore, guys. DeFi is way too big, way too complex. We've got a great system that's worked for many, many, many people. We've helped tens of thousands of people get into DeFi over the last, now 5 years. We've done it really well. Okay. And again, we do this show every Wednesday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Set your bells, set your notifications. Follow us on Twitter if you like. @BeaconDeFi is the handle at all of our socials. You can, of course, follow me at C Soriano, the DeFi Professor, if you just want to check out my musings. With that said, we'll see you next week for another great panel. Really great talk today. I really wanted to talk about x402. We want to talk about creator capital markets, I think, next week or the week after that. So expect a pretty loaded panel on that. But until then, we'll see you next week. Have a safe Halloween, guys, wherever you are. I got to go take my kids out in a couple of days to go roam the streets for candy. And hopefully you're doing the same or just enjoying yourself this Hallows Eve. That said, take care. 07. Beacons up. Banks down. Take care, everybody. Have a great day.